the 4th month of 1994. The reason I know that is because my wife's a painter, and she took me to a painting seminar, a watercolor seminar. And while she was doing her thing, I sat in on a demo by an abstract artist by the name of Maxine Masterfield. She does unbelievable abstract paintings, but the way she does them is she uses kitty litter, cheesecloth, anything that she can find, alcohol she sprays on the paintings to get the paint to do, watercolors to do strange things. So I was so impressed by her that I decided to go home and try it myself. I went into my wife's studio, and if you know anything about watercolor paper.
Are you still married?
56 years.
Okay, it just...
She kind of taught me. Anyway, I went into her studio, and if you know anything about watercolor or acrylic, there's 100-pound paper, 200, 300, 400, 500-pound paper. I started using 500-pound paper is the most expensive. I figured since I paid for it all, I could use it, right? So
we all make mistakes.
Yeah. So I started to use it, and she came in and caught me using it. And she said, no, you can't touch that. You're going to waste that paper. And I was wasting it. Okay. So the next weekend, she went to a craft show that was at the old Broward Mall on Broward Boulevard. And she found this guy, this club, Gold Coast Woodturners, the same club. This gentleman is still alive, but he's not turning anymore. She bought me a piece. She got the business card from him and asked him what, who, it was a display for the Gold Coast Woodturners. So he told her what night and when the meetings were. She gave me this piece and she said, never touch my watercolor stuff again. So I went, and that's when I started turning wood.
Who's the turner? Who's the artist?
Paul Heady.
Paul Heady.
Paul Heady is one of the founding members of this club. He's still okay, but he's legally blind and he can't turn wood anymore. So, but you can see even back then. Look at this piece. I mean, it still looks like I bought it yesterday. Right. This is mango. All right. People that turn wood either do functional pieces, or I call them utilitarian pieces, or they do objects of art or decorative pieces. There's a big difference between functional pieces and art or decorative pieces. Okay. Functional pieces, a salad bowl, let's say a salad bowl, that's made to be used on the table. All right. It'll just be a half moon shape. It'll have a big base so it won't fall over on the table, okay? And it'll be usually with a salad bowl you try to get the wood is whatever wood you use is unique to you. Whatever you want to use, you can make a salad bowl out of it. Now, if you were to do a salad bowl shape that wasn't utilitarian, it would have a small base, and it would be more artistic. It would have a double curve. It would just have a curve this way. It would usually have a curve this way too. The small base makes it, you can still use it, but it's not as functional as a big base is. Okay? And that makes it more artistic. I have a big bowl at home, but I just didn't bring it. Anyway. And with a decorative piece or a piece that you consider as art, when you look at the piece, you don't want to see the bottom. You want the piece to cast a shadow so you don't even see the bottom. And that way it looks like it's elevated above the table. If you look at any of these pieces, this has got a big bottom. Okay, this is the way he did it. But if you look at this piece, if you're looking down on it from standing, you won't even see that base. So this is a more artistic piece than this is. Now, of course, this is not utilitarian. I don't know what you would use it for. But he did a lot of utilitarian pieces, so his pieces all seem to have bigger bases. All right? Okay. There's certain types of wood we have in South Florida. that people rely on the wood for what the wood looks like. For them to either, the people that do art shows or craft shows, if they do this certain kind of wood, they're almost guaranteed to sell the piece because the wood itself will usually sell the piece, whether it's a bad form or a good form. Norfolk pine is one of those woods, okay? You don't really need to make a good form. All of these pieces have got finials, you know, tops that go on them. But I didn't bring them because we're talking about the form, not about the top, all right? And if you were going to do a piece that you wanted to put a finial on, a top on, see this piece looks nice, but with a finial it would look better. You would never want the finial to be any more than 1/3 of the size of the piece, because then it looks top heavy, it doesn't look right. A lot of people will make a piece like this and they'll make a finial this tall, which for some reason it does not look right. So,
That's the rule of three?
huh?
Is that the rule of three?
That's the rule of three. I'm going to pass out some paper to show you that. Wood turners too often rely on the wood, and they don't do a good form and they expect the wood to carry it. But in 20 years, most of this wood's going to be black. You're not even going to be able to see what kind of wood it is. All right? This one didn't turn, because I've had this more than 20 years. But most of the time, the wood will oxidize, it'll turn real dark, and the pretty wood that you made, you'll only have the form. So you have to rely on the form. You don't have to, but you should rely on the form. You should get used to making forms that are beautiful instead of forms that look like dog dishes. My mentor, Mitch Wallach, who is one of the founding members of this club also, says that all wood turners go through the dog dish stage. They're making dog dishes. They're not, and then eventually they get it. They get it. You know, eventually they get it.
If they're good.
Also, I don't have any carved pieces. No amount of surface embellishment is going to help a poor form. If you have a piece that's a poor form, and you think by carving it up, putting flutes in it, or burning it, or doing a chip carving it, or whatever you want, it's not going to save the piece. It's not going to make the piece any better. Unless the person is looking for a piece that's pierced. That's different, but it won't appeal to a bigger audience. Yeah. Oh, say it? No. Okay. Pass these out, please. There's a rule called the Greek golden mean, which this paper should show you. I need one of those. You don't need one.
Indian giver.
The Greek golden mean. See, if I was smart, I'd know how to put it up on the screen. The Greek golden mean was a rule that the Greeks developed way back in antiquity, and for some reason they were smart enough to make it still relevant. The Greek golden mean says 1/3 and 2/3. 1/3 and 2/3. If you notice on this urn, this Greek urn, 2/3 and 1/3. 2/3 below the widest part of the vessel should either be 2/3 above the bottom or 1/3 above the bottom. The widest part of the vessel should never be right in the center. And I noticed there's a sphere over there. And I think that's Lee's piece. That your piece, the sphere
On the corner?
on the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that goes against the Greek golden mean. Now what's carrying that piece is the wood itself and the coral on the top of it. That stretches it out so that it doesn't look just like a sphere. And if you take a look, you will notice that the Parthenon and all buildings that are attractive to the eye, most of them abide by the Greek golden mean. That's a 2,000-year-old thing that the Greeks came up with. Okay, it even applies to paintings. The Greek golden mean applies to all things that are aesthetically pleasing to your eye. You will notice this is a painting my wife did, and she did it in negatives because she paints in negatives. If you'll notice, the horizon line is not in the middle, it's up at the top. All right? This conforms to the Greek golden mean. And there's also another line down here that you can see that's on the bottom also. You see, if that line was in the middle, this wouldn't be, this painting wouldn't be as attractive as it is. This is her grandfather. Anyway. And even photographs. If you'll notice, the dogs are 2/3 of the way up the photograph. Okay. My wife also took this picture. Because everything that she does, she studies composition. Everything's got to have composition. Jennifer knows this. She's a painter too. And if it doesn't conform to some of these rules, you look at it and you say, oh.
You don't know what it is, but
Right.
something's wrong.
Right. And with a painting, the object of interest that you want people to notice should never be in the middle. If you notice, they're not in the middle, none of them. Those are our 3 dogs. That conforms to the Greek golden mean. Okay. The parts of a vessel the parts of the vessel that conforms to the Greek golden mean are always the same. You have the foot. 3/4 of the way up, you have the shoulder. And this is the neck. Because the Greeks thought the human form was more attractive than anything else. Okay? And you can see that these all conform. Okay. Also, where's Rena? Is she over there? I need you. I need a guy that looks like a muscle man. Who have we got here? All right, you, come on. That's right, you just turned 21, so you must be a muscle man. Come over here. Over here. You too. All right. See, they're pretty good looking from the front. She's good looking, no matter what. Turn around. Turn around. Now, it's common knowledge that the female form is even more attractive to women, not just men, than the male form. Now, who can say, isn't this form more attractive than that one?
I think so.
And if you look,
His mother's here.
So is her, so is her.
if you look, you got the hip, right? The hip, the waist, and the neck, right? And with a man, it's like this. It doesn't conform to the Greek golden mean. And the female form is much more attractive to both women and men than the male form. Even though, you got some guys like him who, he's a hunk, so he's attractive. Okay, well done.
Relax, relax.
Okay. Okay. How many of you guys have gone into a glass shop, say you go to an art show somewhere and you go into this gallery that has nothing but glass? How many of you guys have gone into these shops and said to yourself, I'm going to take a picture of that and I'm going to turn that out of wood? I've done it. Okay? Then when you get home, you turn this out of wood, almost exactly like you see, and for some reason it does not look as good in wood as it does in glass. Why do you think that is?
It's not transparent.
Hmm?
It's not transparent.
That's right. Light passes through glass. So poor form in glass is not as apparent as poor form in either wood or pottery, because no light passes through these. So you don't get the added effect of what you can see on the other side of the piece. With clay or pottery, a potter has got to conform to the same rules that we do, because you can't see through a clay pot. If they're making decorative or art pieces, they have to do the same thing that we do. Okay.
So you don't get that wow effect. You don't get that wow effect.
Well, you can get a wow effect, but it isn't the same. It's not the same. Glass, I mean, you know, glass sells 10 times more, they sell 10 times more glass than they do wood because the light passes through it. It's like a dazzle, you know. And baskets are the same way. Baskets have got to conform to the same thing ours do, unless they're utilitarian baskets. Some vessels defy the definition utilitarian or decorative or artful. Some vessels you could use for, they look good both. Like a nice salad bowl with a nice curve, with a nice OG curve in it. I mean, that defies, that's a utilitarian piece, that is also an art piece. You know, Picasso, a lot of people do a lot. Do any of you people know what Picasso did before he was an artist? He was a junk collector. All right? He got thrown out of many neighborhoods because his yard was full of junk. Right? And he saw art in everything that he touched. All right? When he was in school as an elementary school person, he was run out of an art class because a teacher told him, she told the students to draw a horse. And Picasso drew the horse the way he saw it. And what she said to him was, that doesn't look like a horse. You'll never be an artist. Okay, and look at what he became, right? Picasso also said, you know, a lot of people are afraid that that you'll copy someone. You see something on the table, you say, I'm going to go home and do that, right? A lot of people say they don't want to copy anybody. But Picasso famously said, there are no originals. Everything is a copy of something else. Everything is a copy of something else. You might put your little twist on it, but everything is a copy of something else. So don't ever worry that you see something in the Woodturners magazine and you decide to go home and do it, because they got it from someone else. It might have been a different material, a different medium, but they got it from someone else.
Picasso was an abstract impressionist, so.
He was,
I'm
but
sure
he was a potter also.
His horse was probably one of his first.
Right, but he was a potter also. Okay. Okay. What, I didn't bring a sculpt. I had a sculptural piece. I forgot to bring it. If you do sculptural pieces, like say you do a woman's figure or a man's figure, you guys carve, they still have got to conform to the same rules, 1/3 and 2/3. So that if you do a woman, say you carve a woman, all right, her hips have got to be 3/4 of the way up her figure, not 3/4, 2/3 of the way up her figure, or she won't look right.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, she won't look right. Okay. How many of you people just sign your pieces on the bottom? Everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Bud, do you do what you consider pieces of art?
Some, yes.
Then why do you sign your name on the bottom? Why don't you sign it where people can see it?
Well, my turtle vase I did sign on the outside, not on I signed it on the bottom, but I also put.
Yeah. I sign mine on the bottom, and I also put my initials up on the side. So people have to look for it, but it's always up on the side. If this is artwork, if it's utilitarian, sign it on the bottom. If it's a piece of artwork that you consider a piece of artwork, put your initials somewhere on the piece where people can see it.
Well, a picture,
Glass artists do
a
it.
picture is not signed in the back, it's
What?
signed in the front.
Not
A painting
necessarily.
is signed in the
You mean a
front.
painting?
It's signed in the front, not in the back.
Well, I've seen them sign in both places.
Nowadays-
Yeah, but yeah, you sign it in the front. All artists sign their names where you can see it.
Well, when I do art, necessarily, I wouldn't put it, personally, I wouldn't put it on the piece, because when I do painting, you want to show, that you wouldn't put your signature in the middle of the painting, you put it like lightly in the corner, so that
Yeah.
people can know it's yours, but
Right.
it doesn't. it's
That's
not
where,
really-
that's what I do. I will
It's
put
not
my
like
initials.
Yeah, so I prefer it on the bottom so you can see the full piece, but when you look at the bottom, you know whose it is.
Right,
Should be in your piece.
right.
Should be-
Okay. How many of you have ever heard of St. Francis of Assisi?
Of course.
Almost everybody here,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Okay. Yeah, he was a priest. Yeah, he was a priest, but he was also a teacher. All right? He was one of the greatest teachers. He was one of the fathers of the Catholic Church way before any of this stuff started. He was a teacher mainly. And this is a saying from him that everybody should remember. He who works with his hands is a laborer. He who works with his hands and his head is a craftsman. He who works with his hands, his head, and his heart is an artist. So, what are you? What are you guys?
I'm an artist.
I'm an artist too. Right? What about you, Gary? You an artist?
My wife says I'm very autistic.
Smart answer.
Me too. Okay. So we've discussed all of this. I want to just say a few things about some of the pieces I have up here.
Other than that, they're gorgeous. It's okay.
This is a piece of cedar. I did this piece 2006. Okay? I could have sold this piece 100 times.
17
Right.
years ago.
But I put it in my booth just to pull people in. And I put a $5,000 price on it. I've actually gone up since then. And if I had asked any less than that, I could have sold it 10 times. Why? Because it conforms to all the things we've been talking about.
That's-
It does, right? Okay. This piece, I did in 2015.
Jerry, can you hold them up so we can see them?
This is sycamore, right? And it also has a top, but I didn't bring it. I can't sell this piece to save my life. Why? Because it doesn't conform to any of what we've been talking about. It's straight-sided. People look at it, they go, yeah, that's all right. They don't want to buy it, right? These pieces, I regularly get $1,500 for these because they conform. I find that if I do pieces that conform to that rule, I will usually sell them the first or second time out. Okay.
You're saying that pieces that are round on the bottom and taper to the top.
Female form, think about it.
Okay.
Female
Now I
form.
understand.
Hips, shoulders,
Yes,
neck.
I got it.
Female form.
Yes.
This is exactly the same, right? This is a little bit different, but this is the same too.
Yes.
Okay.
Now that you see it, yes.
And then you take this piece, which is pretty. There's a lot of work in this piece,
Yeah,
but this
you classify
this
it
is a male
that way.
form. I can't sell that piece either. Okay? So, I mean, and
Yeah, that's
we had a member that used to say, Steve, go big or go home, right? That is bullshit. Because if you don't make a good form, it doesn't make any difference how big or how small it is. It's not going to be, forget about selling it. It's not going to be attractive to anybody but you or your wife. Your wife and your kids will always love what you give them. You put it on the shelf, then when they bury you, it will go in a drawer.
Or good.
Yes.
I took two hands-on demos with people at their homes who I thought were really great artists. One of them was Jack Bessery. He's very, very well known for his sculptural pieces now, but he started turning wood. And if you look at this piece, I'm going to pass it around. Everything that he did to this piece is beautiful. But if this was not a good form, it wouldn't make any difference. Pass that around.
But it does follow the form.
It does follow the form. Right. He lives in Maine. He'll have a class at the seminar that's coming up on form, same as I'm doing now, but he does it much better.
You mean the symposium?
Huh?
Do you mean the national
Yeah,
symposium?
symposium. And after I took a week with him, I took a week with a guy by the name of John Jordan, who just passed away, and this is what came out of the workshop that I did with him. Okay,
This has more detail.
I don't, that's got unbelievable
I
detail.
know, but this is more.
That's all chip
detailed,
carved. There's 3 or 4 different methods on that, right?
But this one has got more detail,
Okay,
more.
I did that, that's good.
I don't know, the other one's nice, but this one's really pretty. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's mine.
Oh, okay, that doesn't,
Thank you.
it really makes no mind, but to me, looking at
Right.
it, that one meets the eye, meets
Right.
my eye, more better than the other one.
Has anybody got any different opinion than I have about these forms and these shapes?
Well, I don't have a different opinion, but I have something to say.
Okay.
What the whole thing you're saying is, how am I going to sell this piece, right? Well, that's your approach to wood turning. I've never sold a single piece, and I'm not planning on to.
All right,
So,
okay.
my approach to wood turning is a little bit different. Is what I like.
No, I understand that.
So, you know what I mean?
No, I understand that. I don't do it, keep in mind, I don't make my living doing this. I do 3 shows a year. Lee does 3, 4 times more than I do. All right? But even if it's sitting on the shelf in your house, you want to look at it and say, that's beautiful. You don't want to look at it and say, that's another wood turning, stick it up next to the next one. And I've gotten to the point where I don't want to turn 10 pieces a week. I was at that point for a while. I wanted to turn out 1 piece every day, okay? I don't do that anymore. I will go back, and where I used to say, good enough, right? Good enough, that little nick doesn't bother me so much. I will not leave anything now, because I know that it's there. Okay? Anyway, so who wants to, now that we all know what good form is, who wants their pieces critiqued by the group? Go get it. And we're going to let the group say what they think is wrong. This is a book by Miles Batt, who has passed away. He's a watercolor artist, and that's who another person that I think. Okay. What's your thought on this piece?
Police capsule.
Huh?
Looks like a police capsule. I haven't made the video for the top yet. Then it'll really look like a space.
Somebody ate the top off the candy kids.
What do we think of this piece?
Nice girl.
No, come on.
Looks like a Hershey kiss.
True. Okay.
Well, it
It's
does.
a good idea for the video.
The bottom is.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the
Curve
way I
is too
see
far on
it.
the
Yeah, well,
bottom.
you know what I
That's
need.
what I need,
Thing that I don't like about this piece, these pieces have come into, people like these pieces because they feel like they're connected to the earth. It's more of an organic piece. But the thing that I don't like about it is it's sitting right on the edges. I would like it if it had a foot and it was up off the table. Not so
So
much
could you
like
put
this
a
one, but
base?
look at this one.
Could you put a base underneath that one?
He could do it if he wanted to. But you know, I wouldn't change it just because I said something about it. But you can see, this one, you can't see the base.
Yeah, you can barely see it.
Yeah. You see?
I think that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't change it, just the next one, do it different. That's all. The wood is beautiful. What is it? Maple
It's
burl?
maple. From Wisconsin, right? Or Michigan.
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 Pretty. Very pretty. Very good.
We kind of followed the piece, kind of dictated a little
Well,
bit.
yeah,
of the shape
because
too,
you,
because
like I was saying before, you made your piece according to the wood instead of the wood, instead of making
Yeah,
it.
it was a big piece cut out, and kind of had to follow it up in here because it was
Well,
gone.
it's beautiful,
Yeah.
except like I said, I would like it up off the table.
Machines to do that?
Yeah, you need.
Is this yours?
Yes,
this is mine, yeah.
Put 2 clamps on each side, and it turns and
Spins.
spins, and that's how they do it.
Is there anything wrong with this piece, do you think, guys?
No.
No? For a natural edge bowl that you're gonna sit on the table and maybe put stuff in, this is great. This is great, this is a good piece.
Thank you.
Another thing too that I was taught by Mitch Wallach, one of my mentors,
Thank you very much.
if your piece looks just as good upside down, you've made a good form. That piece looks good either way,
Yeah.
right? This piece looks good either way.
Mahogany.
This piece doesn't, because it's still a male form. It could be. So, huh?
340.
I don't like this piece at all. What's wrong with this piece?
Everything.
It's 50/50.
You don't know which is the top.
He's got two pieces, one on
You
top
have
of the other.
you have two pieces here.
Yeah.
You just made them into one.
Right, the top one's really nice.
Top one is beautiful. The bottom one, what I mean is you just made two pieces into one per piece. You have two forms.
That is an exact size copy of a Japanese vase that sold recently for about $5,000.
Okay. Was it made of wood?
That was porcelain.
Porcelain? Okay. Well, the Japanese have their own ideas.
I'll give you $20 for that one. I'll tell
And
you
this is
what,
another
I'll hit
copy.
you over the head with it, and you can take it home when it comes out.
See, this is the same.
Yeah, it's the same design.
I like this one better because the proportions are a little bit better. This is not proportioned the same as this one.
The wood is pretty.
What is that?
Indian rosewood.
Beautiful. And this is mahogany. See?
It's a hardwood.
Any comments on this?
Nice form.
Remember, nobody should get their feelings hurt.
The highest part seems to be a little bit too high.
This?
The,
The shoulder or the neck?
Shoulder's too high.
The shoulder or the neck?
The same size. Shoulder.
Shoulder. Well, I disagree. I think the form is great to get down to here. Yeah, this is too big.
it's good.
The bottom or just the stand?
Huh?
The bottom or the base?
The base. The base.
Well, would you
See, it
take
looks
the
like
base
it's
off of
attached
that
to,
one?
huh?
Just take the base right off of that one?
Well, you could,
Or make
but
it
then you'd have to
smaller.
round this some more.
Or
Or you
make
could
it
have brought that in and made the foot a little smaller. That's all.
She was passing them
I mean, I'm not, keep in mind, this is my opinion, all right? And from taking classes with got people that know more than I do, you know, I listen to them. You know?
Way beyond my time.
This is,
Which one
I
is
don't
this?
care for this one, I do like this one. And you know what?
Which one is this?
The wood helps.
I think that one is his. This one, yeah. I think that was beautiful.
Okay.
I love the detail.
Now, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
At
Well,
least
why
the
is
way
it
I
beautiful?
look at it.
That's
Why is
art.
it beautiful?
That's art.
Because I can see through it, that's right, like a
Light
glass.
goes through it, it's art.
Yes.
And the form itself,
Yes.
it's neither here nor there, but
Doesn't
the
matter.
work that's done to the form,
Put it all together and
the
it's a
carving
beautiful
and
piece.
piercing carries it.
Did you follow the wood grain when you did those borders around?
It's a beautiful.
No, I kind of just put it on there.
This is beautiful. But like I said, this goes against everything we were just talking about.
Doesn't matter, it's gorgeous.
Because
Rita, how long
what
does
she
it
did
take?
to it,
How long
saved
does
it. Imagine what this would be if this was just a piece without the piercing.
That's fast.
All right?
Well, actually, that was the first one, so it took long.
Temperature.
Imagine what it would be if it was just without the piercing.
The burning the dots took 10 hours by itself. So if you add it all up.
That's good.
Yeah, I didn't follow the grain lead because it's the dots cover it up anyways, so I just went. And that one's problematic.
You see, this is a utilitarian piece that also is a decorative piece. Because she's got a double, an OG curve here,
Right,
double curve.
but the wood is pretty.
And wood is pretty. But like I said, in 10 years, that wood will be black.
Wood, really? No way to stop the churning of the wood?
Well, they have some finishes that have more UV protection than others, but eventually they alter.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I've had this one for over 20 years.
Yeah, but you hid it in the closet. So
Well, it's been on the shelf now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Jerry, well, that looks like a ton of wood.
Yeah, it's wood, but that's okay. It's wood.
Yeah, it's thin.
Yeah. I'll take this one.
You get a fight mom for that one, right?
Yeah, the first one always goes to mom.
That's a beautiful piece.
It's a very nice shape, see? Look at this piece. Looks good both ways. Yeah. Right, the bottom could be a little smaller, but it's pretty the way it is. Looks good both ways. This one is actually pretty good.
But it's multi-faceted.
This is nice, this is a classic shape. You'll notice that the top is about 2/3 of the way down. If it was in the middle, it wouldn't, right in the middle, it wouldn't really look good.
And it wouldn't look that good.
Huh?
It wouldn't look that good.
It's fine.
But that looks good.
Yeah. This is very good. Both of them. Who did this? You did that?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Wow, brutal. This one too?
Yes.
You know what opinions are like, right? Everybody has one, right? It's just my opinion, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Boom, boom.
Oh, that's definitely utilitarian.
And it
I
does,
didn't take the tenant off.
okay. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Hold chips and dip.
Yeah,
That's
chips and
exactly
dip.
It's beautiful wood. It's beautiful wood.
Yeah, but that's gorgeous wood.
What is it?
Tamarind.
Tamarind.
Salted tamarind.
Never,
Huh? Tamarind.
This was the George, that's the John.
But yeah, it's beautiful.
This is Jerry's.
But that's a perfect example of the
What's the
utilitarian.
most common wood so far?
Mahogany. Yeah. Mango.
Me and George are both from Virginia. We're just down there visiting. And I left several
That's what he did with the-
black walnut logs out at Dan's place. I left last year, and a big chunk of it out there.
Where, Ron's place?
Big giant chunk of black walnut.
Really?
And some cherry, all the cherries.
You know what else?
Cherry got all eaten up.
If you were into selling pieces, black walnut sells much better up there than it does here.
Yeah.
People don't care for it because it's dark. This is not the kind of area that dark folks sell. Okay, Frank.
yeah.
Any comments? Ooh. You like it?
Round.
Like the bottom, it's a hollow vessel.
I like
that.
Is
I
the
like
bottom
everything about
flat? We can't see it from
Except
here.
the bottom, I would say, make it smaller.
It's round.
That's all.
Yeah, but it is pretty, and the wood's gorgeous.
Sure, it's beautiful.
Almost like a Taurus.
This is rosewood? Yep. What did you finish it with?
Just a little bit of, what do you call it, oil and
Shellac.
What, how old is this piece? 19. Yeah. A lot of the oil is splashed off, so you get them up and it's mostly
needs to be done a little bit.
huh?
Needs to be
Re-oil.
it is.
That it? Okay, that's it. Now I guess you got an instant gallery to do.
Jerry, I have to say, you look a lot younger on TV.
You look a lot younger than you.